Hey guys, it's Laura from Lightning Cosplay. We are back from Gamescom and done with all our crazy projects, and this means I finally have some new videos for you. And today I also have my little assistant with me, little Minerva over there. You are now on YouTube. Yeah, she's gonna become famous now. Today I will show you how we made this giant greatsword from the new upcoming Monster Hunter World Iceborne. You know me, I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan, and I was so super excited when Capcom asked us to create a Monster Hunter weapon for their Gamescom booth. It was made for a photo booth and people were supposed to take photos with it, so I wanted to keep it lightweight but also very stable because I knew a lot of people were going to touch it. So I think let's just start. I started with making the pattern. For that I made a blueprint in Adobe Illustrator and printed it out. For the big bone part of the sword I used this super thick 5 cm foam which I got at cosplay shop Select Style. They just have the best foam. You also can get the foam in 10 cm, which is just super perfect for big props. You can get the foam blocks in only 45 by 95 cm, which was just not big enough for this giant sword, so I had to separate it in 3 pieces. I needed a thickness of 9 cm, so I added 2 layers of 10 mm foam on each side. The foam layers on top will also hide the PVC pipe inside the sword, as you can see here. The front part of the bone needed to be even thicker, so I added another 2 cm on each side. It was time to give this big ham-looking foam monster a better shape. I carved out the rough shape with a cutter and then sanded it super smooth with a rotary sander. Then I started with the detail work. For that I used foam clay. I didn't like to use it in the past because it is hard to work with and you can't do super tiny details with it. You can smooth it out with water and use your hands or tools for sculpting. I mean, it's nice, but not as nice as oil-based clay, which I normally use for all my sculptings. The big benefits of foam clay are that it is super lightweight and you can directly work on your foam pieces. When it is fully dry after a few days, you can also sand it. And of course, I always have my little cat helper with me. Isn't she just the cutest thing ever? For the texture on the bone blade, I used my Dremel and added lines, holes and all kinds of textures to make it look like an old, weathered bone which was used in many battles. For the spikes, horns, teeth or whatever this is supposed to be, I made patterns out of paper. For the, let us just call them horns, I used 5 mm foam and every horn has a unique shape. It quite took me a while to cut them out and glue all the parts together. Of course, they also got a nice texture. For the biggest horn I used 5 mm HD foam, which is a lot stiffer. Yay! Finally all horns were done. The big horn needed to be very stable and durable because this is the horn which will hold all the weight when posing with the sword. So I coated it with a lot of layers epoxy resin. Additionally, I also filled it with an expanding foam. All the other horns were just glued on with contact cement. To blend the edges, I again used foam clay. First I added all the horns on the middle edge and then went on with the horns on the sides. And the bone blade was finally done. Now onto the handle. I made the whole handle out of 5 mm HD foam. As I said before, this foam is much stiffer and good for all kinds of geometric parts. Well, there's not much to say, just enjoy the process. And done! Okay, that was fast. While I was working on it, this piece felt like it took me forever. The handle also was sealed with several layers of flexible epoxy resin and then sanded to get a smooth surface. I also did the same with the bone blade, by the way. The rivets I added are actually real rivets which I glued on. I already had them in my workshop and thought they would fit perfectly. The crest was 3D modeled and then printed. I sanded and primed it and then added it to the handle. I spray painted the handle and also the bone blade with a grey base coat, and then it was finally time for painting. For the handle I started with a greenish grey and went on with a silver grey. For more depth I added some darker shades. Details like the rivets and the crest were painted silver. And more shades. Some silver dry brushing, and well, don't forget some dirt effects. I really like how it turned out. For the bone blade I started with a light sand tone as base color. I always mix my own colors to get a lot of different shades, which are very close to the reference. I don't know how many different brown and sand tones I mixed for the sword. I even lost track while I was painting. For more texture, I always use a paper towel and stipple away some of the paint. I use different weathering techniques to get a natural looking texture. The last details and shades were painted on with a fine brush. And yeah, then the whole thing was nearly done, just some additional shadings. And ta-da! But one last detail was still missing, the leather band at the handle. A simple but important detail. I also totally forgot the pommel. Ra 3D modeled and printed it for me, and I sanded and painted it. And then the Monster Hunter Greatsword was finally done. Look at this giant beauty. Yep, that's definitely the biggest prop we've ever built. The total weight is about 2.5 kilos and it's 2 meters and 20 centimeters long. So I think for such a giant weapon, it's quite lightweight. I had so much fun bringing this to life, and I'm so super hyped about Iceborne that I'm definitely want to make another Monster Hunter cosplay. So I hope you like this video and maybe it helps you for your own projects. Did it help you for your projects? I hope so. Me and Minerva would be happy if you give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So then, see you next time. Bye bye. Goodbye.